The 7-star Decidueye raid has been announced, so let's get planning. This guide will cover what Decidueye can have and what Pokemon we should really bring for him. The upcoming Decidueye is a flying Tera type, meaning that he will get a 1.5 multiplier on grass, ghost, and flying type attacks. Decidueye is an amazing competitive Pokemon, at least until Baton Pass was banned, and now he's garbage. But he is a fan favorite, so he's got that going for him. His stats are generally decent to good in each individual category, but overall, he doesn't really have anything really specific that he's very good at. As far as the raid is concerned, Decidueye is not really very fast, and while a lot of people consider Decidueye to be a physical attacker, his attacking stats are pretty mixed, like they're pretty close actually. You should not really bank on Decidueye being a pure physical attacker, in part because his move pool is really shallow. Like here, if you just remove Hisuian Decidueye from the picture, he doesn't really have any coverage moves above 70 base power, except for like knockoff conditionally. It's actually really sad, and that's kind of why he's been a competitive flop. So let's get into the nitty gritty. 7-star raids basically always have their hidden ability. In Decidueye's case, it's not really very helpful. Long reach, just make it so that your contact moves don't actually make contact. The only time long reach could possibly be relevant in a Tera raid is if you're bringing like static electrode or related to try to get a paralysis onto Decidueye where he just won't get staticked instead. For all intents and purposes, this ability is completely useless. In terms of nature, I do expect a positive attacking nature. Here I set him as brave because I don't necessarily know where the negative is going to be, and so I gave him 80 speed EVs. So 80 with speed down is the same stat. The main number here to beat in speed is 176, which for a lot of our supports, we're gonna probably want to hit that benchmark. But besides this, Decidueye has like really balanced stats. His very slightly weaker defense stat is not really like that massive of a vulnerability relative to special defense, to be honest. While his coverage moves are garbage, the grass ghost flying combination is really only resisted by the King Gambit line. And while King Gambit brings damage, he just does not have the right moves for this particular raid. Just know that we're not going to have a perfect solution to Decidueye that resists all his moves. We're going to have to be taking some neutral hits. In terms of attacking moves, we only really need to worry about the stab moves, which are going to be stronger. For physical attacks, we have Brave Bird or Acrobatics. Recoil isn't going to hurt Decidueye quite as much because 7-star raid bosses typically have a 30 times HP multiplier, but Brave Bird and Acrobatics are both decent flying stabs. Then we have Leaf Blade and Spirit Shackle. Some people are predicting Phantom Force. You're not going to see Phantom Force because Tera raid bosses do not take 2-turn attacks because they are 2 turns. In terms of special moves, there's Shadow Ball, Energy Ball, Leaf Storm, and Hurricane. It's important to note that the strongest of these moves are the flying and grass type attacks just for higher base power. So if you want good defensive typing, we're going to primarily focus on resisting flying and grass, and then taking Ghost neutrally. That said, Decidueye has several other moves that would make him much more dangerous. Swords Dance, Nasty Plot, Knockoff, and Light Screen. Knockoff would need a small edit to its mechanics to work, but if they want to give Decidueye Knockoff, it's going to knock off your item. The only moves that will really make Decidueye threatening are Swords Dance and Nasty Plot. Without those boosting moves, Decidueye is not actually very threatening, so my personal prediction is that we basically need to be ready for Swords Dance and or Nasty Plot. For my worst case scenario, I'm going to say Decidueye uses Swords Dance and Nasty Plot on turn 0. There are a lot of other combinations that would be spicy, but that's the one I'm going to go with. If Decidueye instead takes Swords Dance or Nasty Plot in its core moveset instead of its bonus moveset, that means that it's going to be spamming those moves during each individual teammate's turn, and then will be completely wiping the floor with your team. If those moves are in its main moveset, then you need to taunt it immediately to stop that from happening. Now, given the variability here, at this point in time, we cannot predict any solo strats. Anyone who tells you they have a solo strat for Decidueye right now with any sort of certainty, they are lying to you. Solo strats rely on exploiting specific vulnerabilities of particular movesets in order to actually beat these 7-star raid bosses. We can only really get solo strats with any certainty after he's released. However, before he's released, we can work on team strats because team strats are a lot more reliable because the team is greater than the sum of its parts. You can cover each other and make something that is a lot more robust. Also, and this should be obvious to anyone who really knows what they're doing, we want to one-shot the Decidueye. We do not want to do a little chip damage. We don't want to do good damage. We want to one-shot him from 100% to 0% in one shot, because Tera shields kind of shut down all of our supports, and generally speaking, when Tera shields go up, your chances of winning plummet. If Decidueye does what the Pikachu raid did of just putting up Tera shields on turn 0, the only strat is going to really be Miraidon or Oranguru Acid Sprayer. I'm not going to go too deep into that, but that is what I would do. Besides that, we want to set up this one-shot kill on turn 1, 2, or 3, because the longer the match goes, the greater the chance of bad things happening. Another note for team strats, because a lot of people complain, it's like, oh, well, I can't really do a team strat because everyone in randoms is bad. No, people in random queue aren't dumb. They are just, we're all working together to sabotage you, to make it look like we're trying, when actually we just want you to suffer as much as possible. If you want to do team strats with people who are actually trying to win, you should go onto a Pokemon-based Discord. My Discord isn't like super active, but I can send you around to the right people. But don't feel like you're stuck with a team strat with everyone else being dumb. Also, since I'm a small YouTuber, I can't really popularize anything. It's usually the big YouTubers that publish videos really fast and usually without enough due diligence. Like, that's how you get things like Belly Drum, Slowbro, and 4 Dash Bun strats. Point being, your teammates will be using other strategies, and what I'm going to show you today are strategies that are going to be adaptable. So no matter what the meta winds up being, a lot of the Pokemon that I'm going to recommend to you can be changed to fit both what the Decidueye takes and what your teammates wind up wanting to take as well. Without further ado, first I'm going to discuss the attackers, like the Nuke, who drops the one-hit KO onto the boss. Is the only attack that you really use in the entire match. Afterwards, I'll discuss support Pokemon. Decidueye's flying type makes him weak to Ice, Electric, and Rock. We do not have any good rock-based attackers for Tera raids, so we basically need to use Ice and Electric. My first recommendation is Life Orb Miraidon. The main attack here is Electro Drift. I saw some people using Thunder Miraidon at some point. Electro Drift does bonus damage if it's super effective. That's why we always use Electro Drift. Then we need Charge, which doubles the next electric type attack, which is the only attack we're going to be using. The other moves here are pretty flexible. We have Metal Sound if you are having trouble getting the full set of Spadef drops onto Decidueye. Calm Mind to boost yourself up if you really need, which if you have a full team, you really shouldn't need Calm Mind. Alternatively, Miraidon has some very important support moves, such as Taunt. If we need Taunt, we'll absolutely need Taunt. Separately, we also get Reflect, we get Light Screen, we have options. The main spread here is maximum EVs into HP, special attack, Modest Nature, and the extra 4 EVs into defense. Here we have a standard Iron Hands, Belly Drum because obviously Wild Charge is the main attack here to use. Thunder Punch is if something really bad happens and shields go up. Charge is also for if something really bad happens and shields go up. But in theory, you should only really use Belly Drum into Wild Charge. The spread here, maximum attack, Adamant Nature. I put here maximum special defense. That's the standard Iron Hands. And we run 4 HP EVs for the even HP stat, so we can kind of guarantee that that Citrus Berry goes off. But Miraidon and Iron Hands are the 2 most reliable options for taking down Decidueye. I'm going to show here some alternative options just because these are both version exclusive, obviously. Cetitan here running Citrus Berry, max attack, Adamant, maximum defense, Belly Drum into Sheer Force boosted Ice Punch. Sheer Force does not work on Ice Spinner. Do not bother. The other 2 moves here are irrelevant. Baxcalibur takes maximum attack, maximum defense, Adamant Nature, Swords Dance twice into Ice Spinner. And Life Orb Ice Spinner is better than Loaded Dice Icicle Spear. Rotom-Heat is a special attacking option. Life Orb, Thunderbolt, Charge, Nasty Plot, Reflect. Maximum HP, maximum special attack, Modest Nature. The last attacker we have is Ampharos, which gets the ability plus. So if you have a Pokemon with minus, it'll do 1.5 times damage. Ampharos is only for a specific turn 2 strat where you go Charge straight into Thunderbolt. The other 2 moves are kind of irrelevant. Some people want to run Rain Dance with it, then you go Thunder with it. If you get Electric Terrain, you go Thunderbolt. The Electric Terrain is just better. This Ampharos needs maximum special attack and 124 speed EVs just to barely outspeed Decidueye on turn 2. This way, Ampharos only needs to take 1 hit from Decidueye, and avoiding an extra hit is worth more than investing that into bulk. Next, I'm going to show you the damage calculations so you know exactly how this works and also like proof that it works. For Decidueye, I'm going to give it +2 attack and special attack to assume that it gets a free Swords Dance and Nasty Plot on turn 0, and also -6 defense and special defense, assuming that your teammates can get you enough Screeches and Fake Tears onto Decidueye to get him all the way down so you can one-shot him. For these calculations, know that we're trying to do 30 times the HP of Decidueye in damage in one shot. So the magic number to look for here is 3000%. First, Miraidon after Charge and 3 Acid Sprays, Fake Tears, etc. Electro Drift is almost a clean OHKO. If you get a low roll, Electro Drift will leave him with like a sliver of health left, and then you'll be fine. Alternatively, 2 Spadef drops, like 2 Fake Tears, etc. plus Helping Hand or Attack Cheer will be a clean OHKO onto Decidueye at the beginning of turn 2. Surviving wise, Miraidon can take the first hit and then will outspeed on the second turn, so you only need to tank that one hit. If you want more survivability, you could run maximum defense, but it's not really worth it, and Miraidon's usually general purpose. Like, this should really be sufficient. Just know that Miraidon can only really take 1 boosted hit or 2 unboosted hits. Iron Hands after Citrus Berry Belly Drum absolutely needs a Helping Hand to kill with Wild Charge, and then that's a clean 1-hit KO. You do not need Helping Hand if you take booster energy, but then Iron Hands will need extra support in order to survive, because the boosted Brave Bird does 74% maximum. You might think to run fully defensive versus special defense. Either way, it doesn't matter. Either Shadow Ball, Brave Bird, you're still gonna need that Citrus Berry in order to do that safely, or you're gonna need cover from support teammates. Now for the weirdo picks, Ampharos with Charge, Helping Hand, plus Boost, 3 special defense drops, and Electric Terrain will cleanly one-shot and can live any 1 hit. The main concern here is Leaf Blade critical hit. Baxcalibur needs 2 Swords Dances, a Helping Hand, and 3 Screeches in order to one-shot with Ice Spinner, and he also is going to need quite a bit of support to withstand that flying type stab. Cetitan is in a kind of similar situation to Iron Hands, but is slightly worse because of the bulk. Cetitan needs Helping Hand, 3 Screeches, Belly Drum, and then a one-shot with Ice Punch. A small edit to the EV spread, taking 36 HP EVs, taking that out of the attack stat. That way, we will guaranteed survive a non-critical hit, high roll Brave Bird with the Belly Drum plus Citrus Berry combination. And we have the even HP stat, so we can guaranteed activate that Citrus Berry. Cetitan, just like Iron Hands, only really falls to the critical hits. Here, Rotom-Heat is like the weakest option of what I'm going to recommend. Here, he needs Nasty Plot, Charge, and then Thunderbolt. This Thunderbolt will usually KO and sometimes leave a little bit left, at which point it's fine. The only issue here is that Rotom takes all the way to turn 3 to kill, and you're gonna need support to survive that long. My first choice is Miraidon, my second choice is Iron Hands, and everything else is just kind of like in comparison, but will work. Next, let's talk about support builds. The support builds, as I said before, are going to be extremely flexible to whatever the meta might be, so I'm trying to give you very adaptable supports. First, we have Toxtricity. We would want low-key Toxtricity for the minus ability. This specifically makes him compatible for Ampharos. If you don't have low-key Toxtricity, if you don't have minus, it's not really a big deal, but if you want to run Ampharos, then you basically need Toxtricity. In terms of moves, Toxtricity is very versatile. He has Acid Spray or Screech for either physical or special strats, Nuzzle for paralysis, Taunt if Decidueye has Swords Dance or Nasty Plot, Helping Hand to boost damage, and Toxtricity also has access to Charm to lower attack, Eerie Impulse to lower special attack, and Tearful Look in 1 move slot to reduce both for mixed damage. If you run Screech, then you want Wide Lens to make it more accurate. If you don't have Screech, just run Citrus Berry for extra bulk. In terms of EV spreads, for all the supports, just know that in general, how you put investment into defense versus special defense kind of depends on exactly which moves Decidueye is going to take. Like if he has Energy Ball, Spirit Shackle, Shadow Ball. So just remember to be flexible on this. Here I'm running max HP, maximum defense, bold. The next Pokemon we have is Corviknight. Here I put 28 speed EVs just so we can outspeed Decidueye by 1 point. Everything else goes into defense and then HP. Corviknight's defensive typing is good. Screech with Wide Lens for physical attacking strats, Fake Tears for special attacking strats. He also gets both Reflect and Light Screen and Taunt if you need it. The only kind of big tool that Corviknight's really missing here is Helping Hand, but overall he's going to be very reliable. And also we have Mirror Armor to protect you from special defense drops from Energy Ball or Shadow Ball. Then here I have Luxray and Mabosstiff. Both of these 2 Pokemon are Intimidators. We run max HP, maximum defense. Intimidate will lower attack, which will really help against a Swords Dance variant. Both Luxray and Mabosstiff get Fake Tears and Helping Hand, but they both have their merits. Luxray resists flying and has more options to lower special attack. Both get Snarl, but Light Screen and Eerie Impulse just lower special attack faster if you need special attack reduction. Mabosstiff gets Taunt, and if you need to taunt Decidueye, you need to taunt Decidueye. Mabosstiff also gets Charm if you need to further lower physical attack more rapidly. Just note for Luxray to throw the last 4 EVs into speed so you can outspeed Decidueye by 1 point instead of having a speed tie. Both Intimidators run Citrus Berry for added bulk. Chansey is very reliable. You run max HP, maximum defense, Violite, Healer, you get Heal Pulse, Helping Hand, Charm / Chilling Water. The last move, several different things. You can bring Thunder Wave, Life Dew, Light Screen. You have options here. She can be a very useful cleric. Wigglytuff is a lot less bulky, but unlike Chansey, she learns Taunt, Reflect, and Fake Tears, all of which are very useful moves for Tera raids. You can run 204 speed to get a fast reflect off or a fast taunt off, or you can like just put that all into HP or special defense. Like exactly how you play this Wigglytuff really depends on what Decidueye takes. But Chansey and Wigglytuff are both your main options for cleric support. Magnezone with Screech, Metal Sound, Reflect, Helping Hand, Max HP, Maximum Defense, Revavroom, Screech, Taunt, Parting Shot, Acid Spray, Wide Lens if you need Screech, and Citrus Berry if you don't. Toxtricity is really probably a lot better for this. Tinkatuff is another Eviolite Pokemon. Helping Hand, Fake Tears, Reflect, Skitter Smack, Max HP, Max Defense again. Then we have Oranguru, who's basically used for either 1, very specific turn 1 KO strats, or 2, if Decidueye puts up shields on turn 2, then you very much need Instruct to quickly charge the Tera Crystal of the attacker so they can actually do damage. Besides this Oranguru runs a little bit of speed so it can get a Taunt, Reflect, Light Screen, whatever we might need beforehand, and then we can instruct. Additionally, here's an infographic for a proposed turn 1 KO strat. The infographic comes courtesy of Osh. Here are my notes on some substitutions and the spreads for those substitutions. And here's the related infographic for the Ampharos strat. Just to show how these supports survive, Chansey can take 1 boosted Brave Bird, and then afterwards you really need damage reduction to like stay in the ring. Wigglytuff can just barely survive that Brave Bird, and you really need to get damage reduction up immediately. Corviknight is very, very safe and only really fears boosted Shadow Ball. Florid can take 1 non-critical hit, after which that strategy will just fall apart. Luxray is mostly fine and only really worries about taking a boosted Shadow Ball, Leaf Storm, or Energy Ball. This shouldn't be the biggest obstacle, as Luxray doesn't really have issues lowering special attack. Mabosstiff, also generally safe, does worry about that boosted Brave Bird. Generally speaking, you can work around this. Magnezone only fears boosted Shadow Ball and gets both Light Screen and Eerie Impulse, so this should not be the biggest deal. Oranguru does not want to take boosted Brave Bird. You really need to get like a Reflect or Intimidate or something to like really help out the Oranguru if you want to go fast with him. Revavroom only really worries about Ghost type moves. Here Shadow Ball is the big hitter just because I put like maximum physical defense. A mixed spread, and you see it's a little bit more even. Sojourner, for this spread I put max HP, maximum special defense. You need that Rindo Berry to survive Leaf Blade crit. Without this, the high crit ratio will absolutely destroy you. Tinkatuff just does not care about anything Decidueye has for it. Toxtricity only really worries about boosted ghost moves. And she would need a Focus Sash or to pray that Brave Bird does not crit. Hopefully this little pregame discussion helped give you a couple of ideas of what you might want to get ready for the Decidueye. Obviously, once the moveset is released, we'll be able to tailor each individual set to hard counter the Decidueye as best as possible. But what I gave you today should be flexible and adaptable enough to be able to deal with whatever the Decidueye might throw at you or whatever the meta sheet might bring to the raid. Anyway, that's all I have for you today, and I'll see you around. Later!